Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Addressing the thousands who had thronged St. Peter's Square for the Easter Sunday Mass and the Urbi et Orbi blessing, Pope Francis made a fervent appeal for peace in Ukraine and other crisis-hit nations in Asia and in Africa. Speaking from the central loggia of the facade of St. Peter's Basilica ahead of the Urbi et Orbi blessing, His Holiness said, "In this terrible night of suffering and death, may a new dawn of hope soon appear." In his message to believers at noon, the pontiff said that he holds the victims, the millions of refugees, the orphaned children and elderly Ukrainians close to his heart. He also made mention of the suffering children from around the world who are victims of violence, hunger and the lack of medical care. The Easter Vigil Mass celebrated in St. Peter's Basilica on Saturday night was attended by Ukrainian lawmakers Olena Khomenko, Maria Mezentseva and Rustem Umerov, as well as Mayor of Melitopol Ivan Fedorov. Addressing the Latin Rite Catholics in Ukraine, the head of the Greek Catholic Church in the country, Major Archbishop Sviatoslav Shevchuk, said that although the nation is sad, believers still celebrate Easter as they believe in the resurrection. He was addressing believers on Saturday, April the 16th, on the eve of Easter according to the Gregorian calendar, during the vigil at St. Alexander's Church in Kiev. The liturgy was presided over by Bishop Vitaly Krivitsky of the Diocese of Kiev-Zhytomyr and special papal envoy Cardinal Krajewski, Apostolic Nuncio to Ukraine Archbishop Visvaldas Kulbokas and several priests and lay faithful. The Major Archbishop said, "To be a Christian means to believe in the risen one. To be a Christian means to be a partaker of his resurrection, to be a bearer of his joy and light." He reiterated that this victory of the risen one is and will be the victory of Ukraine. Cardinal Bo of Yangon Archdiocese in Myanmar has said that although Easter in the Asian nation did not have colours that shone, the light of hope has not been extinguished. He made this comment while speaking to Vatican News, adding that his hope is strongly rooted in Jesus. The prelate said, quote, "Dim are the lights that leak out from this region of the world where violence is still raging and where the crisis due to the thousands of refugees fleeing from a deteriorated socio-political climate is strong. We are still at Golgotha of Calvary. In the states where the military is fighting separatists, there are targeted attacks on churches and church establishments. In the Sagaing region, Catholic villages are also being attacked by the military. It is estimated that as many as 16 dioceses are in conflict zones." On Easter Sunday, the third anniversary of the deadly bomb blast that killed more than 260 innocent people, the Sri Lankan capital Colombo witnessed hundreds of people taking part in a protest with lit candles and banners and placards seeking justice for the victims. The protest was held in front of the main esplanade of the city. It is the venue of agitations against the government following a crippling economic meltdown that has caused acute scarcity of food items, medicines and fuel. Protesters want the government to unravel the truth behind the attacks on 2 Catholic and 1 Protestant church on April the 21st in 2019. 3 hotels were also the target of the suicide bomb attacks that killed 42 foreign tourists. The agitators slammed the lack of progress in bringing the real culprits before the law. The Catholic Church has been extremely critical of the probe into the attacks, blaming the government for failing to take stern action against former President Maithripala Sirisena and key officials for failing to prevent the attacks. In his Easter message to the Latin Rite believers in the Holy Land and Jordan, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, Pier Battista Pizzaballa, said the cenacle where the Last Supper took place is a symbol of the communion of faith. The top prelate said that it is the place from where the Church went out to seek the risen Jesus. The Latin Patriarch said, quote, "Amid the wars, the ethnic conflicts and the plight of millions, the joy of Easter may seem far away. However, Christ is the living God, a reality we can touch, not a generic or ethical foundation of politically correct values." He reminded believers that the risen Jesus is present in the world, even amid the contradictions of the present. The prelate said that Christ is the hope of those who venture out to find him in this troubled world, and that is the road that the Church has to take. The Patriarch also said that although death surrounds us, Christ will not let death prevail. In Poland, a political party that is part of the ruling coalition is contemplating bringing a bill that punishes those who insult the Catholic Church in public. The Solidarna Polska party has proposed the legislative reform that would punish those who blaspheme the Church or interrupt the celebration of Mass with up to 3 years in jail. According to the Law and Justice Party, headed by Deputy Prime Minister of Justice Marcin Warchoł, the current law in the country has plenty of loopholes and fosters hatred towards those who publicly express their faith. This, they believe, is the reason for the vandalism of churches and shrines. The Law Minister has also expressed the need to give teeth to the existing law, which awards a prison sentence of up to 2 years to those who offend religious sentiment by publicly insulting an object of veneration or a place intended for the public exercise of religious rites. The US Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Rashad Hussain, has made it clear that Washington is aware of rights violations and is trying to support the minorities experiencing persecution around the world. Hussain is currently in Bangladesh, where he held a meeting with members of the Bangladesh Hindu Buddha Christian Orkya Parishad in the capital Dhaka. During the meeting, the US envoy to Bangladesh, Peter Haas, was also present. According to advocate Rana Dasgupta, the General Secretary of the Parishad, the growing communalism and fundamentalist activities are posing an existential crisis to minority communities. Hussain also mentioned the persecution of Uyghur Muslims in China and the Rohingya in Myanmar. On April the 20th, he will hold a meeting with State Minister for Foreign Affairs Shahriar Alam. Hussain's department monitors religious freedom abuses and persecution of minorities taking place around the world. After a 2-year gap, France will finally witness a large Christian musical event in July, in which thousands are expected to take part. Entitled Jesus Festival, between 3,000 and 7,000 people, including Christians and non-believers, are expected to take part in the event in Paris-le-Monial from July the 8th to the 10th, during which there will be worship sessions and concerts. Among the performers are Hillsong London, Glorious, Natasha St. Pierre, Matt Marvain, Dan Lewitt, Chemin Neuf Worship and Samuel Olivier. In 2017, a group of friends in France got together to create an event to bring together Christian believers through music and worship, and also create a platform for evangelization. However, the COVID-19 pandemic forced the postponement of the event twice. Now, with the easing of restrictions, organisers hope that the event will be a huge success. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow for more. You can also visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.